Sometimes you've got to take a break and inspect the damage done. When it comes to Darren Till, there's been a lot of damage done already. The MMA fighter recently suffered his third loss in just as many fights in his latest appearance in the octagon. Fortunately, his peers have stepped up for some much-needed advice. Let's see what Adesanya and Smith have got to say for Till, and whether that'll be enough to turn his losing streak around. First off, UFC 282 brought a hat trick for Till. No, it's not that kind of hat trick. Instead, this is a third straight loss for the Liverpool native and celebrated striker who submitted to Du Plessis at UFC 282. It was also his latest loss in a career that's been on a downward slump for most of his last 6 fights. The submission by stoppage saw the 29-year-old fighter go 1-5 in his latest octagon appearances, and the fighters determined to take a step back without backing down. After his loss, he addressed his fans and thanked them for their support, assuring them that he'll work on finding the right way and get back to his unstoppable self. While his self-awareness was welcome, no doubt, to fans who have suffered as long as the fighter himself, still you can never be sure about the gorilla, as his last break was 15 months long and doesn't seem to have had the desired effect on his performance. Luckily, he's going back to basics and isn't retiring anytime soon. This will mean the fighter's got to pull up his shorts and start training for his next one. If he's as focused on improving as he says he is, he'll also need all the help he can get. This doesn't just include friends, family, and teammates, who are all sources of comfort and security for the fighter. It might also mean his peers and seniors in the UFC, who have got some words of wisdom for the 29-year-old fighter. Now for why Adesanya thinks Till should switch up his game. While Till's still convinced he had Dricus almost pinned down and was making him switch things up, Adesanya thinks it's this delusion that's setting him up for losses, one after another. It's pretty obvious to the former kickboxer that whatever the gorilla has been doing hasn't been working so far. If that's a pattern he's unwilling to see, it's his fault. Adesanya's advice for his fellow fighters to look at things in perspective and take a loss as a sign of change. This is the only way the fighter who's known for his striking ability can get back to knocking out his opponents. Speaking to his subscribers through his YouTube channel, Adesanya marked Till's most recent fight as a standing duck situation that had only one way to go: downhill for Till. If he doesn't change his tactics and stop countering those blitzes with weak elbows over and over again. A tactical move's good every once in a while, but if it becomes the only weapon in your arsenal, then it becomes a net negative. Even worse, it'll become lame and useless after a while, because opponents will be able to see it coming a mile away. The same happened with Till, not just once, but in all his 5 career losses. The last style bender was pretty convinced this has been going on longer, and possibly ever since 2017, when the middleweight champ was in peak form. He seems to have developed his technique by then. The trouble was he stuck with it for far too long. Now it's turned into a losing streak. Up next, Adesanya knows both offense and defense. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you use it frequently, you definitely lose it. Adesanya knows that all too well, with his nickname Style Bender a symbol of his ability to switch things up mid-game. One of the rarer fighters who can defend as well as block, he's not one to rest in one place for too long. That's exactly what Till might need to do as he prepares for his comeback. In the process, he'll find some useful inspiration from Adesanya's own career, which has been similar to Till's own career in its breadth of fight experience and striking styles. While Till himself's a Muay Thai fighter, in addition to being a talented MMA striker, he could use the focused yet flexible approach that has made Israel Adesanya the number 6 pound-for-pound fighter in the middleweight division. On the other hand, Darren's only recently switched back to middleweight in 2019, having previously fought at welterweight for 5 years. That's a change in weight and pace, and it might require a bigger change in in strategy too, following up the Kiwi kickboxers, also fresh off a recent loss. Behind Adesanya's sound and sincere advice, a recent loss that must have got him rethinking things for his own career too. Because very recently, Adesanya's middleweight reign was brought to a stunning stop against Pereira at UFC 281. In the 5-round match, both fighters went through kickboxing routines to a masterclass in grappling, and finally a TKO that pulled the curtain on Adesanya's dominant streak in the division. While the fight itself was a whole roller coaster of emotions and a display of excellent fight IQ by both fighters, this was also the last Stylebender's third straight loss against Pereira. Adesanya's advice for Till must come from his own trail of losses against Pereira that he's been unable to turn around to his favor so far. Whether or not Adesanya can act on his own advice, it could prove helpful for Till, whose own losing streak could use a change-up on both a physical and mental level. Not to mention, Adesanya's rooting for the Liverpool native. Nowhere is it as important to keep things moving as in the octagon. Each jab here is directed to hurt you and prepared to take you down. One wrong move and a fighter can find himself face first on the canvas. Whether he's playing the wrong moves or not, Till's definitely been playing the same moves for far too long, and now they look tired out. He'll need to come up with a new strategy, but Adesanya's support for the Liverpool native seems to be genuinely rooted in admiration for his talent. The last Stylebender's renowned for his striking ability, and you can bet he sees a good striker for all he's worth. All this has caused Adesanya to place his faith in Till. If he can manage to sort out his repetitive issues, the problem might be just that, repetition. Luckily, the latest submission might have shaken things up for Till, who's bound to take a hard look at what's got him to this point. It wasn't that long ago that Adesanya himself was considering a matchup against Till. That alone goes a long way to show that he thinks highly of the fighter's ability. While the pair isn't an option right away, it won't take that long for Till to regain his balance. Till then, the middleweight contender's got his work cut out for him, with plenty of strategy and strength training to look forward to. Till's sure getting a lot of losses to his record recently, but he's got several fighters in his corner to balance out the sting. It vouches for the fighter's longevity and promising career that Anthony Lionheart Smith's come out in his defense and gave him some tough love after his defeat to Dricus. Let's check out what the light heavyweight contender's advising the middleweight does to change things up in his next fight. Now for the harsh reality check Till might not like, but definitely needs. In a wrenching, yet refreshing moment on live TV, Till admitted he doesn't know where to take it from here. His training's proving useless and perhaps even counterproductive, as his punches continue to fail in landing him a win inside the octagon. This signals a step back to square one for the fighter who debuted in the UFC in 2015, deciding that things aren't working as intended and it might be time to adjust to the changing circumstances is not a sign of defeat. It's actually the exact opposite. Many fighters have had to face a hard drop. It's a hard reality to face, but it might be just what he needs. Smith thinks this will definitely mean fewer top-ranked competitors for Till, but that might actually be the biggest plus. What's more, the hit to Till's ego might be useful in the long run. Fully accepting failure seems to be the first step to moving on from defeat. That's what makes you Lionheart. Smith's pretty confident that Till's got to grapple with the most hungry players. Those at the bottom of the ring and struggling to climb up are most likely to give Till a chance to surprise himself with all that he's capable of. While he won't get to fight big-name guys in upper leagues, that might not be such a bad thing. It'll definitely do wonders for his fight IQ, which will benefit from so much more experience fighting more unknown players. The fighter himself dropped down in the leagues from number 10 to number 15 after his recent string of losses. After a 7-year-long run in the UFC, backsliding like that's probably stinging him more than any punch he's eaten in the octagon. But sometimes that's also what you need to wake up and face the music music. For now, Smith's encouraging the fighter to pick his battles wisely, without being picky about rankings or league numbers. Eating his ego now will prove useful in enhancing both his experience and dulling the sting of future setbacks, of which there's no doubt plenty when you're on the path to being the best in the world. Last but not least, Dana White doesn't agree with Smith's assessment. You can imagine how hard it is to follow Smith's tough love approach and how tempting it is to give in to Dana White's comments, propping up Till's fight record. The top boss of UFC doesn't think the fighter's stock has dropped by as much as is being feared all around. Darren's loss did make for a fight of the night. It's also true that Till stayed in it till the third round and had his moments throughout until the final stoppage. Still, the former top 10 fighter might need to step down in order to step up if he wants to be the best in the promotion. That's it for this video, folks. What do you think of Till's chances in his next fight in the octagon? And which of Israel or Smith do you think will be proven correct in the end? Do tell us in the comments below. If you liked the video, do press the like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.